Hello everyone, welcome back to Angela's Craft Room. Today I thought I'd bring to you one of the new stamp sets that have been released in Australia by Stamping Up on the 4th of January 2017. It's this one here, So In Love, and it's just got some lovely stamp images in it. And I thought I'd just do a simple card. It's just purely stamping and a little bit of putting some smaller flowers on. So it's quite a simple card, but I really wanted to show you this stamp set. It is a really good one to be using, and it's not just Valentine orientated. It could be used for anything, as you'll see with the card that I'm about to make. Now, it has 14 images, stamp images in this set, so it's a really good stamp set. And the other one that I most probably will use will be the Petite Petals. And then with the Petite Petals, I also have the Petite Petals punch, which makes life easy. Like, you're just stamping the flowers and punching them out and you're getting a perfect flower. So, and the other one is I've already pre-stamped my image and I've punched it out with the decorative label punch from Stamping Up, and I'll show you that as well as we go through. So to start with, I have a piece of early espresso. I've already scored and folded mine, but you will need 8.5 inch by 5.5 inch, and then you're going to score that one at 4 1/8 of an inch. So it's a bit of a different size to what I normally would use, and then you would use your bone folder to score that, of course. Now I'm going to tear this one today. So I'm going to start in about 1/3 of the way, not quite half, but just about 1/3 of the way, and then bring it in narrower at the bottom. So we'll just go ahead and do that. So we'll just start about there. Now I'm holding underneath here, so I'm supporting my card as I'm tearing it. So don't be too fussy about, how you're tearing it. If you support it underneath, it does make it a bit easier. And you might not like the teared look, but it's just another thing that you can do with making your cards. So we've torn that, so I'll just set that aside. And now we need a piece of Whisper White, and that measures 4 1/8 of an inch by 5.5 inches. And when we've actually stamped that, that's going to get stuck down like that. Okay, so then when we line it up to glue it down, it really needs to be flush to that edge, so it's going to become the front of your card, but we're only going to be sticking this part down here. Okay, so then that will become the front of your card. So we'll go ahead, and so it won't matter, like some of what we stamp over on this side, it's most probably going to be covered, but it won't matter. So I'm going to start off with the large flower image from that stamp set, So In Love, and I'm just using chocolate chip. So just make sure you can see. It won't matter that you can't see my ink pad, but try not to get inky fingers. So to start with, I'm just going to stamp it up. So I just like to go tap, tap, tap on my ink pad, because I find if you press too hard, that's when we get smudges and things and too much ink on our ink pad. So I'm just going to start from this bottom corner, and I'm stamping a little bit off onto my grid paper, and just a firm pressure down. So we've got that one. So it won't matter if there's a bit of space in between our flowers, because we've got some other flowers to put on there as well. So then I'm just going to bring, actually I might just stamp using this little one from the same stamp set. I'm just going to use a little bit of Cajun Craze, so it just helps me know how much I need to have it spaced. So that's the little flowers, and then inking back up into the chocolate chip. And you'll see on this stamp there's a point there, and that's where what I'm using as my guide to position my stamp. So I'm just going to go in there and just a good pressure. Like that. Ink up again. And then using that point as my guide, just right into there, and half of this will be stamped off. Then I'll just going to get my, oh, nearly went into the wrong colour, just my little flowers back in Cajun Craze, and just into that into there. Then I think I'll just seeing which will be the best way to position it. So I might just put, see, I went into the wrong colour, easily done. So back into the Cajun Craze, and you can see that I check underneath my stamp each time to make sure that I've got a good coverage. Just want to make sure that I'm not getting any, just clean that off in my stamping scrub and ink that up again. So I'm just going to put a little bit, it's not completely on the full page, just there. And then I'm going to go back into my chocolate chip. And that will enable me to, because I've put those two bits there, I can just go in there give it a good impression there, and then I'm just going to stamp a little bit of this big flower in that corner, so it's only going to be the tip of the flower that's going to be stamped onto there, just to fill in that little space. Like that. So you can see the ideal, it's coming together. Then back into the chocolate. might just do, going into the wrong colour again, Cajun Craze. And then I'm just going to put a little bit in, so it works out only really one flower, but just helps me fill in those spaces. So just going to go in there. Good. Like that. Then we'll go back into the Cajun Craze with the little flowers. So it's just a matter of seeing where you want to position. And I can see there's just a little gap there, so I'm just going to stamp a little bit in there. And a little bit in there. Just it doesn't matter that you've got some white space by all means, but it's just a person, so that one can go in there. But it's a very easy card for you to make because it's literally just all stamping. So then we're just going to go in there, and it won't matter that some of this is going to be covered by chocolate chip cardstock. So if I was going to put that in there, it's most probably going to overlap. So I might just put some little flowers in there. Now I'm going to have to put some more in there because otherwise I won't be able to get the big flower in there. And there are leaves in this stamp set. There's like 3 different lots of leaves, so you could even fill in with your leaves if you wanted to as well. I might leave that as a space because I might put one of the little flowers in there. Okay, so just back into the Cajun Craze. And just in there where those 2 little flowers are pretty close together, I'm just going to pop that in there. Now I'm just going to check where this sits so you can see the ideal that we're getting. So I might just go back into the chocolate chip. It's better to have it covered. Let's check where that's going to be. I think I'll leave that as it is. Just thinking it looks better up that way. So I might just stamp a bit more, a couple of these big flowers, and then decide which way up I want it to be. So I'm just going to go into that corner and then back into the Cage and Craze. So it's just really getting it to look how you're happy with. Just in there. Then we're going to just go back into the chocolate chip again, because I can see I can get one flower without trying to overlap too much. And I'll just get the tip of the flower in there, like that. So you can see we've got a bit of spacing there. So back into the Cage and Craze, and at the top just position it how and it won't matter if it goes a little bit over onto your other flowers. You can see that that still looks quite nice. And once we bring in our other flowers that I've punched, it will give it a completely different effect. So I might just put one up on there, and we might just leave it at that. So we'll close up our ink pads so I don't get ink all over. Now you don't have to do it all over, because obviously it's going to be covered on one side here. But what I did when I was stamping was I started off, I was going to have it this way, and then when I started stamping my big flowers, I thought I preferred it to be that side. So that's the only reason I've done it like that. Then what you could also do is just to get the fibres where we've torn them, we could actually just, now when you get Stampin' Up! Sponges, you get them in a really big circle. You get a pack of 3, and I cut mine in quarters and I just pinched it up like that, and you can see this one's been well used. So I'm just going to go into the chocolate chip, stamp it off a bit, and just push those fibres down a bit. Plus it's going to give another little bit of colour on there. Just a personal preference. Don't have to do this. It's just how I've torn it. It's just colouring those exposed fibres a little bit. Because with Stampin' Up cardstock, it's a very good quality cardstock. It's not a thin cardstock, so the paper fibres go all the way through. So not like some of the cheaper ones where you, when you start tearing, you actually see white. The colour on the cardstock with Stampin' Up go all the way through. And another thing you could do, you could use a distresser along this side, a distresser tool. I don't have mine handy at the moment, but this is just as good. So just leave that like that. Now, as I said, we want this to be flush over on that side. So before I do that, what I'm going to do is add a piece of lace from Stampin' Up, just the lace trim. So I want that to go down that side like that. And I've already added some tear and tape, because when I do adhere my lace and ribbon, I don't normally put adhesive under it, like under the front piece. I just put it on the back of the cardstock, and then it can be and then that tear and tape on the back here will just adhere the lace to your card. So I'll just see, make sure that I've got the right, happening the right way. So I want it to be about there. So I'm just tucking it under, and it's attached to the, you can see what a strong tear and tape it was. That was just my fingers stuck to the back of it. So just try and making sure that that's as straight as I possibly can. I'm just eyeballing it. You could add ribbon down the side as well, just whatever you want. Just thought I'd use some of this nice lace. So now what I might do is just add a little bit of tear and tape over that lace, because then I know I'm not going to have any trouble sticking that down, to make sure the lace adheres to the piece that we've stamped. And then we can just put snail over the rest of it. So just making sure that peel that off. That's how easy it is. And then I'm just going to grab a little bit of tear and tape, a bit of snail, sorry. So I want some to go across the edge there, and then we want it to go down right on that teared edge. Right in that corner. Okay, now you don't want to let that come down until you're absolutely sure. So we just want to make it flush to this side over here. So another good way is to just tap it down so you know it's, because that's going to be the front of your card, remember. Just turn it over. That's, so put it down carefully and it's moved. So just got to be careful with that. Then we're just going to fold this tear over. And that's just going to adhere to your card. So you can see that becomes the front of your card. Like that. So there's so many designs that you could use. Now I did tell you earlier that I have already done the sentiment, but I'll just show you how I just talk you through how I did it. Just want to really make sure that that's down. Now I used the Just For You sentiment out of that stamp set, out of that new stamp set that I was showing you, So In Love, and then I've just cut it out with the label, decorative label punch, which I showed you earlier, and then I've just sponged round the corners using that sponge. So all I've done is gone into the ink pad and gone all the way around like that, and then when I've hardly got any ink left, I've just gone around it like this, and it just gives it, takes away that starkness of the white all over that. So we're going to position this, I think, about there, or maybe just deciding where I want it. Might pop it up there. So I'm just going to grab some dimensionals, and you can see that I'd already done my stamp on there, and I stamped the wrong stamp, so no waste, we just stamp the other side. And I'm sure many of you have seen I just use my tweezers and give them a bit of a, give it a bit of a poke in the middle of the dimensionals, and then it comes off quite easily. So if you're ever wanting a tutorial on anything Pacific, just leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to help you. So I'm going to pop that up there, like so. Okay, and I've just got a little bit of glue there, so I've just got to, just don't want the card to stick on there. Okay, so now the other thing, I told you that I had stamped out some flowers from the Petite Petals, and then I'd punched it out with the Petite Petals punch, and then this is them here. And then what I did was I just adhered a little pearl from the, just the normal jewel pearls packet. So that's that one there. So you get quite a few different sizes. You get quite a few pearls in the packet there from Stampin' Up. And then what I'm going to do is I was going to just So remember I said I wasn't worried about having a few spaces because I knew I was going to fill those in with these little darling flowers. So I've just stamped them I've just stamped that flower in the chocolate chip, and then I've just added a pearl to the center. So we'll just pop a dimensional on the back. So it's quite an easy card to do. And then when I punched them out, I did just use my bone folder to curl up the edges a little bit. I mean, you don't have to add these flowers if you want. You can just do the stamping side of it. So I'll just put a couple more on there. And I'm thinking I might put one on the sentiment as well. One up there. Just cool. And you could actually add a bit of Winker Stella on these little petals if you wanted to. Like that. And I'm just going to add one, maybe two on the sentiment. But you can see that this is a very easy card to make. And just by adding these flowers, it just adds a little bit more dimension. And I was thinking of putting one, which I think I will, up in that corner of the sentiment. So you can see it hasn't taken very long. Once you work out where you want to stamp your flowers, it doesn't take that long to do. Let's give it a good press down. And there we have it. So that's the card for today. So I hope that I've inspired you a little bit to give it a try. As I said, you could use ribbon instead of the lace. You could add some Winker Stella glitter pen onto your little petite flowers here. One thing that I did do that I haven't shown you, I did pre-stamp the piece to go inside. So once again, I've used one of the other sentiments that is in that new stamp set, A Day to Celebrate, and I've just stamped off the edge with this flower. And then all that's left to do is just add a little bit of snail. I mean, you could make a few of these very quickly in an assembly line, and then I'm just going to pop that on the other side, and then my card will be finished completely, ready to go. So just be careful if you've got inky hands. So there we go. That's the card. Then opening it and it's all ready to write in to give to someone. Okay, so I hope that you'll give that technique a try. Just go out of your comfort zone. I know it's hard, like some people don't like to tear, but you know, it's just another technique. So I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial, and until next time, happy crafting.